macro base of this economy, which every economy needs, then we must take a second look at our tax compliance levels that we have to stay compliant with in terms of all companies being guided by one tax compliance level. I don't think it is right.
So for you, the rules must be different for startups.
Yes.
Not the same with, because there are businesses who have been in operation for so long. They are doing quite well. You're saying what you require for them to stay in compliance should be different from what a new business.
Exactly.
Okay.
That is how you can stimulate growth from a small to big businesses.
Okay.
You know, in other jurisdictions, we've seen the Facebooks and all that. They did not start big.
Okay.
They started as
small,
under the SBA
Okay.
in the US, you know, and they were able to raise capital through a cheaper means. Their tax compliance was lowered for them and all that, and now they have grown. They are contributing millions and billions of dollars to the U.S. economy, and that's a similar thing we need here.
Okay.
Yes, we need the tax revenues, but also we need to grow businesses to be able to feed this country with good revenues. And we don't just need businesses that will do business in Ghana. We need businesses that will go beyond the borders of Ghana and rake in more in terms of foreign exchange. Today, we are solely and highly dependent on our commodities to rake in foreign exchange. It must get to a time where the service industry must take over.
The service industry must generate the foreign exchange.
Exactly. For this country. I mean, you talk of Japan. They are doing more in terms of licenses and what have you, you know, because of the automobile sectors and all that. And they are raking in money at the service level.
Okay.
Right?
Not a commodity.
Not too much of the commodity. Okay. Yes, commodity is equally high, you know. But if you look at their trade, clearly you can see the contribution of the service sectors very high. Our service sectors basically are within. Very few can expand beyond our borders. There will be a time where the resources we have today will be depleted. And what are we going to rely on when it comes to that? So whilst we get a lot of foreign exchanges coming in, we should be also thinking about how to develop the service industry to provide service not just for Ghanaians, but beyond the borders of Ghana and be able to rake in enough foreign exchange. That is when you are competitive.
Japan, you talk about Japan's strength is mostly in manufacturing.
Yes.
And their cars are world-renowned. Everybody wants. We talk constantly about Toyota. Yeah. And we can't stop talking about the Honda and other things. Those are two cars where in Ghana, when you say you're looking for a good car, they say, oh, buy a Toyota, buy a Honda. You say for us to get to that level, there must be a conscious, calculated effort. Yeah. Okay. I don't know how much attention you pay to the 24-hour agenda the launch of the policy and the program.
You
followed.
I followed
somehow.
Yes, somehow.
Somehow.
Yes.
Okay. Because initially, the idea was sold as a shift system. But it looks like when they were launching, they were talking about the putting together a program through which we essentially change the way we do business. That it to be the main vehicle that would drive a new thinking when it comes to economic transformation. If you monitored, do you have any observations on what you heard?
Well, I think, yes, there is some shift. I mean, it has been repositioned well, and I think it is better.
Okay.
I think I have, on many occasions, avoided speaking on the 24-hour
economy. Okay.
But okay, let's do a bit of that, if you insist.
Okay.
Now, the issue is that you can't just say 24-hour economy.
Okay.
No, without facilitating a shift into that kind of thinking.
Okay.
I see that as more of a vision than a program.
Okay.
It is a vision that would need some programs, some restructuring of our various business laws and all that, to make sure that it is realized. Now, clearly, 24-hour is demand driven.
Okay.
Bottom line, it's demand driven.
Okay.
If I don't demand it, why would you produce it?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
There are avenues where government can say that I am putting this, I'm running this 24-hour, I'm running this 24-hour, but it also comes with costs.
Okay.
Right? So the thing is that will the costs that is coming out be paid for by the revenue that
That's
will
generated.
be
Okay.
generated out of operating beyond the normal periods of working hours we have been known to, the 8-hour working shift?
Yeah.
Clearly, as Ghanaians, we sleep too much. That is clear. But if I am not sleeping and if I have to work, it means that I have to employ somebody.
Okay.
It costs for me.
Okay.
Now, whatever that person is going to do, would it rake in revenues?
Okay.
How much of it? Is it able to pay
For the cost you
for
bear,
the cost I bear?
for the extra hours.
And for me to be,
At
for
least
to receive some
compensated.
good gratification for that matter, and keep going on that tangent. So, for instance, let's look at a pot. We want to run a 24-hour system at the pot.
Okay.
Okay. Is it that the pork is choked?
Okay.
Are people trying to clear and they cannot clear? Is the reason time
Okay.
or the issue of bottlenecks?
Okay.
Now, you go in a day to clear a car at the port or a container at a port. Will take you beyond 24 hours to go through the entire process of clearing the car.
Okay.
Right? You get there and you can come out, or your container will come out in the evening, probably sometimes at 9 p.m.
Okay.
Okay, so if already in terms of administration it's operating 8 hours,
Okay.
but the various holding sites are operating basically the whole day,
Okay.
because containers come out late in the evening and all what have you. The procedures, the processes there are too cumbersome.
Okay.
So when you say 24-hour, you are paying somebody for 8 hours now. You would have to pay another person for another 8 hours again, pay another person for another 8 hours again, to be able to cover the entire 24 hour. But would the output change?
Okay.
Now, if the output wouldn't change, then it is not necessary.
Okay.
And that is why we have to be careful about this.
Okay.
We cannot do this without some form of restructuring and simplification of certain processes and procedures. I don't see why it shouldn't be a one-stop shop kind of a thing. You go to the various, container holding sites and to clear, and it is complete madness.
Okay.
You have to go here. This person has to be moved there. This person has to put a signature here. That person has to do this. It is just crazy. You should experience it firsthand to know what it is.
How it...
And so yes, it is a good thing. We meant good, but we should look at what really happens at these places and try and make sure that we can have more output when we expand the time of work, because that will also come with costs. Already, I have made the point severally that, look, our one of our main issues here is our payroll costs as a nation.
Okay.
It's too huge.
The cost of payroll.
Yes, it's too huge.
Is it that we pay too many people? Or?
Yeah, we are paying too many people for doing very less.
Yeah, because anyway, that one it's difficult to disagree with you on that and have any follow-up, because myself, because you're looking at because for most of the state agencies, you're looking at somewhere like the NLA. They said by the time Sami Oku took over, was 500 people there, and then NLA had essentially become more of a loss-making agency.
Exactly.
And then you increase it from 500 to 1,200.
And this is when they have automated
most of their
exactly.
services.
And then,
so why are you employing more when your automation is involved? So there are things about estate agencies that need to improve. But you're saying the 24-hour economy, one, has to be, you said, demand-driven?
It has to be demand-driven.
Two, whatever services you are running 24 hours, the cost involved in running 24 hours must be covered by the income from
exactly
the extra service that you are providing, or the extra hours that you are covering. Okay, interesting. But you say what we heard from Mr. Guzitana and the others gives you a sense that they understand the things that need to be put in place for a proper 24-hour economy to roll off.
Because I kind of pieced, they spoke about the taxes, they spoke, they touch a lot of the things. I mean, they need to look at it critically. We don't want a policy, it has become too many. That any policy around the growth of businesses and industry, it's handled poorly, and then all the time, because now we know that this is coming to replace the either 21D, 1F, right?
Yes.
Which is a complete failure.
Yeah. Oh, really? Because yesterday the Minister for Trade was in Parliament, was asked what has happened to 1D, 1F, and she says there's nothing like 1D, 1F. And the MPP were up in arms with him, the MPP minority in Parliament were up in arms with him. You think that ditching that policy was the best thing to do?
That policy is certainly not a policy. I don't see.
It is not.
It is more of a favoritism kind of system that was put up for some companies to enjoy some tax reliefs. That's all.
Oh, favoritism.
Yeah.
So you're saying that those companies were consciously picked?
Yeah, I think so.
And given incentives?
I think so.
I see.
Which they don't deserve.
Okay.
Look at the pure water industry. It is so saturated. We have a lot of companies producing and all that.
Okay.
Right? Why do you give another company or put another company under 1D, 1F?
Okay.
Producing the same water.
That's readily available.
Everybody is available. Everybody is producing.
Okay.
You even have more fake ones in there.
More fake ones?
Yeah.
I see. Very interesting. Well, so for you, that policy should not find expression under this government at all.
No, it has not been able to. I'm not saying. The policy itself has not been able to justify itself.
Okay.
What did we see?
There's no justification for
there's
keeping
no
it
justification. What plummet is production levels plummet in this country under 1D, 1F. 1D, 1F was supposed to push up production. And then the effect of pushing up exports.
Okay.
We did not see that.
Okay.
The entire 8 years, we did not see that. That was not the issue. So I am not saying the policy was not able to justify itself.
Okay.
And I'm saying that when we are replacing this with the 24-hour economy, we will be judged the same as I am judging out of the 1D, 1F today. Okay. And therefore, we must make sure that the implementation is holistic. And really, we do understand business at the micro level. I think a person like Guzitano, Mr. Guzitano. I think he has been involved in business for a very long time, and therefore would understand some of these things and will spearhead the right things to be done. For me, I think that small businesses, gig businesses, should be given more. Even today, taxes on tips in the U.S. have been removed.
Okay.
So everybody understand what should happen at the macro level, and we cannot, looking at where we find ourselves, rather squeeze micro businesses. We cannot do that.
I say, if you just join us, we have Nii Yarboi Annan in studio. We're having a conversation on some developments within the economy. So from 24-hour economy, interesting thing, and I'm going back to the matter of prices, and I think this was, unfortunately, I don't think I have the newspaper readily here with me, because it was Monday, there was a newspaper, Economy Times, that had a few headlines that attracted my attention. One of them was single-digit inflation by September. The one where they are suggesting that we may get to the point of analysts predict single-digit inflation by third quarter amidst threat from utilities price hike. And they're saying Ghana's inflation has taken a sharp nosedive in the past 12 months, falling from 21% after recording 18.4% in May. So now we are 13%, but they are saying that if 30.7, if this trend continues, you might see a single-digit inflation by the third quarter. So I'm guessing that's end September. Yeah. So is this something you see coming? Because the latest jump was quite steep, from 18 to 13, almost 50. 500 basis points? That's significant.
Yeah.
But do you see that happening?
Yes, it is likely, if not probable.
Okay.
We are import-based even now regarding food inflation.
Okay.
And therefore, with the currency improving in terms of strength, makes it a bit okay for prices in terms of the food to be reduced. If you are importing most of your food, and one of the major drivers of inflation is the currency, the foreign currency rate, then clearly when that comes down and the markets responded to it by reducing prices of imported food items, then of course, yes, that is what is going to happen. But this should also tell us clearly that what we eat today as Ghanaians mostly is controlled or provided by foreigners, which is not right.
Okay. The way inflation is responding is also telling us that majority of the food we're complaining about, that the prices were high, were imported.
Exactly. That has seen a sharper drop. Imported food has seen a sharper drop than food that is produced here in Ghana.
Okay.
So plantain prices are still high.
Okay. Yeah, significantly.
Exactly.
Yeah, significantly.
And that means that we are not doing well with agro-business.
Okay.
And that the factors of production surrounding the growing of food is still high.
Okay.
And that is disaster.
You're suggesting that even though we're seeing this drop in inflation, if you do a comparison between, if you go to the market woman to go and buy tomatoes and you go to the supermarkets where they import the tomatoes and put up on display, you see that the ones in the supermarket, the prices are dropping faster than that of the market who's getting from the local,
which we produce.
Okay.
Here. And that is clearly not a good sign.
Okay.
Because you see, the fishers that brought us some time back, all the pain are still there.
Okay.
They haven't been sealed.
Okay.
And if we are not careful and we slip into that same, arena again, it will be disastrous for us if we do not have an alternative in terms of food production locally.
Okay.
So, you see, all the gains we are doing today must be redirected well. We must start thinking of producing food and doing it cheaper here in Ghana.
Okay.
I don't know if you have checked fertilizer prices.
They were very high. I don't know.
And they are still high.
They haven't gone now?
Yes, pesticides, they are still high.
Are they imported or produced locally?
Mostly imported.
With prices, then they should be driven down, or
That's the thing. So the man who is behind production or food production is still having to grapple with a lot of challenges in that sector. And that is why we need to look at that avenue again. We need to look at it again. What are the issues there? We need to be a bit serious with agro-business in this country and going forward.
I see. So you're saying we should take advantage of this?
Yeah.
Make sure the food we grow in Ghana is as competitively priced or even better priced than the one we import.
Because now we are not competing.
Not at all?
Not at all.
The imports are beating the food we are
Yes.
producing in Ghana?
Yes. How do you say that it is easy for us to bring in food items from Ivory Coast, Burkina, Mali, Niger?
Sometimes even Togo.
Yes, and it is cheaper than what we produce here.
And you're saying there's a need to look at, you said, the factors of production?
Yes, in the agro-business.
So we were talking about price of fertilizers, price of pesticides. Even people say plowing their land, how much it costs to plow your land, how much it costs to plant the seeds that you're planting. Among others, we need to look at all that.
Where do they get the seeds from?
Okay.
The seedlings. They are still expensive. If you bring fertilizer into this country, you have to go through tests. It is very expensive to have it tested, to have it approved, to have. See, we must be conscious about certain facts in this country.
Okay.
It is like when you want to do business in Ghana, you have to cough up everything.
Cough up everything.
Almost everything. So the businessman is done, and he has nothing on him, and therefore, when he comes to the market, he also have to make up everything. Yeah, I mean, it's not conducive doing business here.
See. So even the testing that government usually controls, for somebody who brings
government agencies controls. Yes.
Somebody who brings in a fertilizer, is
you will go
too
through
highly priced.
You will go through a lot of pain.
And the bureaucracy is another matter.
Exactly.
Even the importation, you were just talking about bringing it in, and then the testing is another matter. Before you get it onto the market, they're talking about the tax system, the tax regime in place, among others. So you're saying everything structurally makes it difficult for us to produce in Ghana at a competitive price.
Exactly.
And most of these things, are you sure, are within the control of the states?
So much so.
That the things that contribute to making these things expensive, most of it are within the control of the state.
Yes.
That if the state is interested, they can fix most of it. Okay. And that's, I guess that's why you were saying you had some good things from the 24-hour economic dialogue. It's about implementation.
Exactly.
I see. Very interesting. But you're saying we can do the single-digit inflation?
Oh yes, we can do if the same trend continues. Yes, we would get there.
I see. Based on that, then there's something that attracted a lot of attention yesterday. This is and help us understand this. This is from the IMF. I think this is after the approval. They said the authorities have made significant strides towards rebuilding international reserves and taking steps to bring inflation down. The Bank of Ghana should maintain an appropriately tight monetary stance until inflation returns to its targets, reduce its footprint in the foreign exchange market, and allow for greater exchange rate flexibility, including by adopting a formal internal FX intervention policy framework.
Yeah.
The opposition says this is the IMF telling us that what is happening in the market. It says the word, I've forgotten the word they use, it fixed or fake or something. That essentially the Bank of Ghana is controlling exactly. So, but is it evidence that essentially what we are saying is artificial? I think that's the word they use.
Well, you need to look at two things. One, government is the biggest holder of foreign currencies.
Okay. Biggest,
So government decisions in terms of what to do with the foreign currency will have a considerable effect on pricing of foreign currencies.
Okay.
The second thing is that is there an artificial demand for it? Now, if you call it artificial, is there an artificial demand for it?
Okay.
Or is there a demand for the foreign currencies that cannot be actually obtained from the commercial bank levels? And therefore, because, some of the rules have been changed.
Okay.
Now, the commercial banks have been given some form of flexibility to hold reserves in foreign currencies.
Yes.
Either two, they weren't allowed.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So, are those reserves that depleted, that they have to fall on BOG?
Okay.
And the way it was put, it means that BOG is more like discriminately intervening.
Okay.
So it's given to one side of the financial sector and it's not looking at another.
Okay.
And therefore there are disparities in terms of the rates.
Okay.
Some banks are giving high rates as against lower rates by others. Okay. Now, then the issue here is it about the flexibility that has been given to the commercial banks? That they, through their nostro accounts, can hold their own reserves or bring down some of their surpluses in terms of what have you. Is that the case, or what really is the case?
Okay.
I mean, this is more of an advice. I believe it's a genuine advice to BOG.
Okay.
I don't think that they have done anything wrong.
Okay.
If it is policy-wise that we maintain this current rate for a longer period of time to enable planning in terms of business, then they are right to do so.
Okay.
If they do not have enough, but they are pushing to do same, and it is going to hurt us, is also another issue.
Okay.
But so far, that same press release that we got is telling us that we have reinforced our reserves.
Yes.
Therefore, if they are doing this, they may have a good reason for doing this. You just don't pick what was said and out of context and then drive it home as if it is somebody is doing something so artificial. And that is why I said that at the macro side, we look very good.
Okay.
Right? Because what supports the economy the most is money. You can't take out the significant effect of money, in terms of, what we exchange is bigger than the GDP of this country.
Okay.
The entire world GDP cannot compare or be compared to the exchange market GDP. It is always higher.
Higher than the average.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's in the exchange alone, in terms of foreign currencies having to change for the purposes of trade and all that, it's trillions. And the GDP of the world put together comes nowhere close to that.
Okay.
So we must understand that the exchange market is a significant influencer in terms of economic decisions and all that.
Okay.
And therefore, it may be the decision of the BOG that where we find that there is a need or demand for the currency, we would make or take appropriate steps to provide it.
Okay.
And that is where the discrimination will come from.
Okay.
But if it is a discrimination that is to give some financial institution a better positioning in the market than the other, then that is also another issue.
Okay.
If it is about the positioning of those banks themselves and how they have, reduced their prices in terms of providing services to their customers and all what have you, and therefore a lot of demand has fallen on their laps, that is also a different thing. We can't take this out of context. You can't say, oh, it is artificial. Whatever has happened, it's artificial. The reserves are not artificial.
Okay.
The foreign exchanges we have received through exports is not artificial.
Okay.
Our balance of payments improving is also not artificial. So what are you calling artificial?
So there are footprints within the economy to see that will tell you that there's nothing artificial about what is going on.
Of course.
Okay.
If we have the rates where they are, there is nothing artificial. Keeping the rates where it is, yes, probably, may have some interventions coming from BOG to keep it where it is. And that could be a decision well taken by BOG.
Okay. Do you think that the decision taken by the BOG to keep the rate, for example, the president was saying the last time that they are looking at competitiveness from where the dollar was, how high it was, pushing it down suddenly will have issues with competitiveness when it comes to goods that are leaving Ghana. Let's say we decide that in the interim, let's do 11, 12, between 11 and 12.
Yeah.
If that is is that a good decision for you?
Yes, it is a good decision, right? If government is the biggest holder, that's the war chest of foreign exchange, then he has a significant role to play in terms of pricing of these currencies. So, for instance, if the market is saying that the dollar is 12 cedi and government is saying the dollar is 10.5, the gap in between represents lack of confidence.
Okay.
Now, the lack of confidence has closed down compared to few years behind us.
Okay.
2022, 2023, 2024.
Okay.
The gap was wider.
Okay.
BOG was reporting around 13, and the market was 15 and 16.
Yeah.
Today we are talking about 10.5.
And 11
in some cases 11, 12, 12.5.
Okay.
That is what we have to deal with.
Okay.
Even with the commercial bank, it is the gap is so small now, basically insignificant.
Okay.
It is on the allergies with the Forex bureaus that you see the rate of 12. But you are getting almost 10.28 and what have you from the commercial banks,
Okay.
which means that the confidence level is high.
Okay.
And why is the confidence level high? It is high because currently we hold a lot of foreign exchange. Our reserves look solid. And that is why confidence has returned into that market. And so it is not out of hooks. It's not as if it is not supported by any substructure. No, the substructures are there and we can see it. Are the substructures depleting and we are still keeping up the appearance? Or they are firmly there? And therefore, we can take a decision, deliberate decision, to make sure that we don't move it up. We keep the market stable, because the stability of the market also brings a lot of confidence, which would significantly help improve the Forex market.
Okay.
So yes, they haven't said anything wrong. They have given an advice, but you should credit the managers of the economy that they also have a plan. They know where they are going with this. When the time comes where it is clear that you don't have the Forex, yet you are trying to intervene to make sure that, you won't get the market determining the price that much. But what do you call the market? BOG is part of the market, right? How they are doing or going about intervening is probably what is being complained about.
Okay.
And that is fair to look at it again,
Okay.
if it is not being done right.
Okay.
But we shouldn't say, well, it is artificial where the rates are. Okay, on the market, out there, right? Out of the commercial banks, out of the formal system, what is the rate? And how far is it away from what is on the formal market? They are not that apart compared to a few years ago. So if the opposition says that, then I would respectfully ask, what were they doing then? They should tell us what they were doing then, that the confidence level was so poor. When BOG was showing us 13.38, the informal market was around 16. You can't compare those days today and today. They are not the same. There has been a significant improvement. And if an advice have come through the IMF, it is well taken. I think the BOG will need to look again at how they are doing the interventions, and if it is not right, they bring things to a proper forum for it to be taken good care of. That's all.
So you're saying so far, from what you're saying, the managers of the economy seem to have a plan.
Yes. Every manager of the economy will have a plan.
Yes.
But how it syncs with what the physical side of the economy and all that, it means BOG is not like alone. It's looking at how the physical is playing out as well, right? And that is President Mahama's comment. Now, if you push down the exchange rate significantly, you'll be losing the value of your exports as well.
Okay.
So it's on two sides. You have improved expenditures in terms of pricing coming down, and on the other side you'll be losing revenue, or your revenue levels in terms of exports when the monies are in and you have to give to the exporter cedis. You'll be giving the exporter a less and less cedis, when in fact he has spent more to produce those same goods for which we are gaining the Forex for.
Okay. Interesting. Anyway, a few things, then we learn. First, there's one thing that, of course, a lot of people, we all know. In fact, when this government came to power, we just basically said that they are coming to pay debt and go, because the monies we owed are plenty, that they will not be able to do much. One, is it to their credit that we are seeing some improvement in the economy? Because this is the finance minister 6 days ago, the statement on the payment of 349.52 million euro bond debt service. And they said we wish to officially inform the public that the government of Ghana has, through the Bank of Ghana, successfully effected a payment of $349,523,674 dollars, I think 56 cents, in respect of Eurobond debt service obligations today, Thursday, 3rd July. In fact, they've continued and explained that those payments, in January, some payments were made. So there's a lot to look. In fact, they said, looking ahead to 2026, the total debt service of 1.4, I think this is a billion, 1,409,000,000 is scheduled. So that's for 2026 alone. Now, I'm wondering how they need to balance this so that when this starts getting worse, already they will tell you that we are already paying. So we are programming the rest of the debts. And we know what we have to pay, and we are preparing for it. But how do they manage the economy in such a way that these payments, when they ramp up, because as we go forward, a lot more will fall due, do not affect the gains that they are making?
Well, that is the reason why the macro side must be managed so well, and that falls directly on the laps of BOG. Look, it is first and foremost, we have to give the praise to those who were on the bond market, who have endured significant, excruciating pain, right? To make sure that the restructuring of our bonds were successful.
Okay. Those who have had to sacrifice.
Yes, I really don't feel it is right that government or the finance ministry will be taking some credit for whatever has been done. And again, this was not started under this administration.
Okay.
It was a program we are kind of following up on from our predecessors.
Okay.
Now, the issue is that there were spillovers late 2024, and the IMF also spoke about that.
Okay.
This government has done well and needs to be recommended for the fact that they have stayed to the plan and stayed true to it.
Okay.
And they have improved whatever spill-off we had regarding the previous administration and spill-off as a result of, trying to win an election. And also we will have to always remember that people took a lot of pain for this, for where we are.
Okay.
We have also continued in terms of external debt restructuring and all that. We've been able to achieve something on that level as well. Okay. All this is to ensure that going forward, we are able to meet our obligations on time.
Okay.
And that is why we have improved in terms of the on the credit ratings. There is more to be done.
Okay.
There is more debt falling due, like you have mentioned.
Okay.
Now the issue is, are we in the position to honor our obligations when they fall due?
Okay.
Yes, currently so.
Okay.
With the current environment, economic environment in the world that we found ourselves in, would it continue? And I will say we can only be prayerful or hopeful that it continues.
Or prepare.
But we must prepare for it. And we must be doing a lot of savings. We must rake in more tax revenue as much as we will need to give more relief to businesses to also grow further and give more revenue to government in terms of taxes.
Okay.
So, yes, it's a give and take at some point. At some point, it will take a lot of dedication, a lot of pain.
Okay.
In fact, 2027, 2028, we will face a higher responsibility of meeting our obligations.
Okay.
And therefore, I keep insisting and emphasizing that this is the time we would have to put down most of our savings in. And make sure
we have to save
prepared.
more at this time.
We have to save more at this time and make sure we are prepared for what is coming in 2027 and 2028.
I see. Is it a time to open the local bond market? Would this be the right time?
No, we are not there. We are not there yet.
We're not ready to.
We are not ready.
I see.
Yes, I mean, you can see the performance of our bonds today. Okay. They are better than what it used to be some few months back. But then the issue is about trust.
You think we haven't rebuilt the trust to that level?
No.
The confidence to that level?
No.
Despite the performance you're talking about?
Exactly.
You think it will take time? How longer would they have to maintain it to be able to
Let me ask you a simple question. If you have suffered the haircuts others suffered, and the bond is reopened, the bond market is reopened, will you put your money there?
I haven't suffered the haircut, but that's to be fair.
You understand?
Yeah.
I mean, we need to be frank to each other and know that people will not respond the way we think they will respond. We should not look at what is going on at the treasury side, in terms of the treasury bills and all that, and assume that when we return to it, people will jump up to it. The only reason we may do so, I think, is looking at the commercial banks and other financial institutions actually holding a lot of funds and bringing it on there. But then, on the primary, that is on the primary market. On the secondary market, there would be issues. And we should rather hasten slowly, be cautious, and not take on too much for now. That would be my advice. Let's go up there. Let's do the right things. Let's reinforce the gains we have. Let's improve the economy further, and then I think the demand will be there. The demand will come naturally. You will see it, and then you can put forward those bonds out for people to buy.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is Nii Yarboi Annan, the financial analyst. This is him when he's working. If you meet him on the political field, it's a different matter. So please, they are two different.
It is the same.
Well, thank you. Always a pleasure talking to you. Nii Yarboi Annan join us in studio today, and big thank you to you for being part of this conversation. As always, we are back tomorrow with a Friday edition of the show. Tomorrow we'll talk about a book that takes a bold perspective. It talks about bold. In fact, typically, the kind of discussions we would have when it comes to matters of galamsey, among others, policy failure, lack of commitment, among others. This book talks about state capture as one of the things that worsen the galamsey situation. So we'll be talking about it tomorrow. The author will be in studio. We'll have a conversation with him. So do make a date with us on the Gold Morning Conversation tomorrow. But coming up next is the King of Mid-Morning with the Mid-Morning Show. And that will be followed by sports at 30 minutes past 11. Then 1 o'clock will be Pampas. So Pampas will be followed by Agro Drive. Don't forget the Focal Concern is on 30 minutes past 5 today. And today is Thursday. So Night Train will be on at 9 p.m. No misses.